Hey guys, how are you doing? Welcome to week number 3. We are halfway there, and for the next 2 weeks, we are going to work on a groove that's a little bit more complicated, and it's going to involve all of our limbs.
Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4. The goal here is to feel comfortable with those transitions, not to make it impossible, okay?
You know everything already, and you have practiced it already, so just keep going with this. Mix everything and practice at different tempos, and you will realize how simple these patterns are, but how effective these patterns are at creating confusion and chaos between the whole audience, okay? So, with all of that being said, we finished week number 3. I'm very, very glad that you are here with me, and I'm really looking forward to week number 4. Things are going to get messy.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live stream for week 3 of 30-Day Independence. My name is Aaron Graham. So happy to be here with you. It's bright and early. It's 8 a.m. where we're at. Happy to see you. So we're here to celebrate the 3rd week of this wonderful course. And I have, of course, the man behind it all, Mr. El Estepario Siberiano. Estepario, how you doing this morning?
Hey guys, not morning for me, so I'm crashing it. I already had lunch, more than ready, so let's keep this going. Come on.
Oh, great, man. Well, thanks so much for being here. We have lots of questions. So just a reminder, everybody, this is a live Q&A in the live stream. If you have a question you want to ask Estepario, make sure you put it in the questions tab. You can upvote all your favorite ones, and we'll make sure we get to some of the most requested questions. So just a couple of housekeeping things here off the top. We're talking about week 3. So this groove where we're Estepario added in the sweep in the right hand, doubles in the feet. I saw a lot of comments about people talking about how much of an actual workout this is, people sweating. I'm curious right off the top, Estepario, I just wanted to ask you about this groove. It seems like it's a real workout for everybody. Like, do you remember when you first started doing sweeps and the doubles in the feet? Do you feel like, were you sweating? Is it a real workout for you when you were first learning it too?
There is a lot to cover on this one. This may be my favorite one of the whole course that we are doing, and we could be talking for ages on this one. The first thing, it can be a very complicated workout if you don't have a proper setup. And that is very important because when you are working on a sweep, you should have your cymbals or whatever you're doing the sweep with close to the tom. In this case, we were doing it with a stack and with the floor tom, so I would highly recommend to move the cymbals just so that you can do the sweep, with efficiency. If you got your stack right there, it's going to be very complicated. So that would be the first thing that people need to keep in mind. And yeah, this was a pattern that emerged when I was playing electronic music in the beginning. As you know, I am playing every single day a lot of different tracks. And this pattern emerged when I was trying to play electronic music. It works surprisingly well with all kinds of electronic music, not only techno, but also house, psytrance, or whatever you have in mind. And the main ostinato going on would be the bass drum, which is just the quarter note. If you realize it's 1. And on top of that, the goal was to create something else that was going to keep happening all the way without, let's say, I don't know, with allowing the bass drum to sound clear, adding a lot of sounds, but not, you got the word, man. Not adding darkness to that original pattern that the bass drum is. So it was just a matter of adding little details. The next note is, of course, the hi-hat with the left feet. The other one is a cymbal, and the next one is a floor tom. So I thought that was a brilliant combination, and I spent a lot of time working on that. And later on, I moved the hi-hat, the left foot, to the bass drum, which also sounds amazing. Same sticking, but instead of a hi-hat, a bass drum. And both of those patterns work exceptionally well with electronic music, and they are a blast to jam and to improvise and play all sorts of things on top of them.
Great feedback. So setup is very important for this pattern. I just wanted to let you know, Jorge, too, I saw comments throughout the week about people going out and buying stacks as a result of this week. So you might have inadvertently sold a couple hundred stacks because of this week.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't have a stack, just place two cymbals together or whatever, add a bucket, add whatever. It's not important. What you're playing is not important. The important thing is that you're having fun and practicing drums. You could be playing whatever. whatever. I don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Before we dive into some questions, just a reminder, everybody who completes all 5 workouts this week is entered to win a prize. The prize package for this week is a Drumeo swag pack. So it's a new Drumeo stick bag, a quiet kick, and a set of Drumeo eardrums. All you have to do is complete the 5 workouts, not today's video or tomorrow's video, and you're automatically entered to win. We'll announce that next week. So I think that's it. So just a reminder, get your questions in the questions tab. You can upvote your favorite questions. Let's dive into some. All right, let's take a look at the first one. So this is from JZon HE3. Apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Can you explain the concept of using other patterns like paradiddle on the right hand? I didn't quite understand it when you were going through it in the lesson. So the sections where you were talking about, if it's maybe too easy for you, you can maybe do a paradiddle between your right hand, switching to 2 different symbols. Yeah.
Yeah, that may be a little bit confusing. When I say use a paradiddle, I meant the structure of a paradiddle. If you pay attention to the paradiddle says, it depends on which one, but the basic one, it's right, left, left, left. So that could be considered, if we are talking about parts, we could say part A and part B. So it would be A, B, A, B, A, B, B. So what I was trying to say is grab 2 patterns together. For example, right now I'm going to use the ride, the floor tom, and the crash and the floor tom. So this would be pattern A. And this would be pattern B. You can combine them using the structure of a paradiddle, which would be I don't know if it makes sense for people, but to me it makes sense. It's mixing the parts together using the sequence of a paradiddle. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. That was the idea on my head. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it, and I love that you give tips throughout the course for people to, if it's too easy for them, they can, you give them avenues to explore a little bit. And I encourage everybody, if you're interested, if some of these patterns are coming easy, you can explore with anything. You could do doubles. You could do 2 on the ride symbol, 2 on the stack. Like I'm sure Jorge has tons and tons of variations that he's used throughout the years as he's working on these grooves. So yeah, great question.
Yeah,
okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Voodoo Child. Hola, Estepario. 5-month-old drummer here. First, thank you for the course. It's very fun, and I really enjoy it. I did get the groove from this week okay, but I cannot play it at tempo. It's always a little bit slower than what you're playing. Any tip to help me play it faster? Cheers, mate.
Oh, man. 5 months playing, that's amazing. That's the first thing I got to say. Of course, it is going to be complicated, but I'm so happy that you are here. The fact that you took this course already means a lot to me, because these kind of patterns, the sooner you start, the sooner you get better at them. And not only that, but it also opens your mind to different kind of groups. What I would recommend, I would suggest judging, and this is just my opinion because I haven't seen your playing yet. I hope I will. I would recommend to start with doubles, and especially with Moeller doubles. I think that's the name. If you know a little bit about drum technique, on Moeller, we add the movement of the arm to create that momentum that's going to give us a speed. In this case, we're using a sweep, which would be a vertical motion between any stack, any cymbal, and the floor tom. And that means our arm needs to go up and come down. I would really encourage you to practice, if you want to get faster at this, practicing the doubles with that momentum. So it may look a little bit stupid, but actually just doing this is going to help a lot, because that's actually the motion. One thing are the doubles, of course, but it's going to be completely different when you need to hit another drum. So I would really encourage you to practice doubles between maybe both of your hands. One exercise could be right, left, but practicing that momentum between one cymbal and the floor tom. I think that's the trick to gain confidence and speed on this groove. I would say that's the best exercise. And that being said, I'm going to change the sound of the ride, because I would really use a splash or something shorter. Give me 1 second. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's what I would practice. Doubles with that motion.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just add one thing there. Yeah, I think to me, Jorge, I don't know if you feel this way, but to me, the double stroke is like kind of the elusive point for a drummer, where if you can really start to master double strokes, it just opens up an entire world of possibilities, right? Students I've taught in the past, it takes a while, but once you really learn how to let the stick bounce and start to move that double around the kit, that's like a tipping point for a lot of stuff you can do. I'll just say we have a ton of stuff within Drumeo on double strokes. If you just search double strokes, you'll find a lot of videos in there. I don't know, do you feel that way, Estepario?
Yeah, that definitely. I think people should think about the philosophy that's behind, especially rudiments. People don't like to study rudiments, but when you think about rudiments, they are nothing more than the combinations of singles and doubles, and that's because when we are playing drums, 95% of our stickings happen using singles and doubles. We don't often use triples or quadruples or whatever. We don't use that. It's mainly singles and doubles. So when we are studying rudiments, and the fact that all the drummers on planet Earth encourage other drummers to study rudiments, it's because they make easier to communicate ourselves with the drum kit using singles and doubles. So yeah, definitely using double is going to be super useful. And the fact that you have a group, for example, in this week, where you can incorporate the practice of doubles, it is already a win-win situation for your practice, and it's a fun way of practicing it. So yeah, go for it, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, let's do one more, and we're going to take a look at a student clip. I like this question from Mihaela F. Are you planning to have other courses on Drumeo? This group is here because we all share our love for drums as well as respect and admiration for you. Would be amazing to have a community for all your first-time students where we can learn more and encourage each other.
Oh man, I would love to. This is a message that should be, yeah, we should discuss this with the CEO, with the big boss. But I am down for it. Whatever they want to do with me, I am more than ready to do it. And yeah, actually, this was not the initial idea for the course. I thought I was going to do a chop builder, but we had SAC groups doing something very similar. So we thought maybe we could go with coordination first. But the door is always open to do way more courses. And yeah, definitely I got more courses already prepared because I didn't know which one we were going to teach in the beginning. So definitely I would love to do that regularly here on Drumeo. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I didn't want to put you on the spot, but since you answered, we already have proposals in the works for you, Estepario. We're going to be sending over, especially one for beginner drummers. So I would, from the sound of Estepario's answer, I would say you can expect more in the future.
Good, lovely. Yeah.
We'll have our people contact your people.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so before we take any more questions, let's take a look at a student clip. So this is from Drumeo user Lil Jen. She submitted this video from one of the workouts this week. Let's take a look and see if Estepario has any advice for her. Very nice, Lil Jen. Very well done. Estepario, what do you think?
Very, very, very well done. I would recommend some things I already recommended on the last weeks. But the first one and the most important, try to avoid flams. And again, I do flams all the time, but that's the thing that I must say because every teacher says the same thing. Try to avoid flams between the bass drum and the snare. That's because it's going to make the group sound more powerful. Okay, some tips. The first one, as I said 10 minutes ago, the Mueller technique with the doubles is going to make it a little bit more fluid. It's not going to sound to look so robotic. You're going to feel way more freedom once you get that motion going, because the second stroke is not going to take as much effort as it looks it is taking right now. I would like to see your arm moving up, and down with those double strokes. That's something also that you practice when you're using a stack or a ride or whatever. That's that motion, the one that we want to keep going, because when you try to play this inside of a group, the truth is that you may be playing it for 1, 2, 3 solid minutes. And if you don't got the endurance to do it, it's going to be very painful for you. So I would highly recommend to start practicing that momentum, that Moeller technique for the doubles on the right hand. The rest of it, it was very beautiful. It was well executed. I would pay a little bit of attention to the flams. You can practice that separately. But yeah, the fact is that we are looking to get this sound specifically. And I know it's going to be super tricky because we are working on an ostinato, but we should really look for that sound to be a unison and not a flam. Apart from that, I would encourage you to practice the Moeller so that you don't feel the fatigue and that you can endure these workouts for a longer period of time using less energy in order to make it more efficient. And apart from that, I thought it was beautiful.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, great job, Lil Jen. I'll just say one of the reasons we picked this video was Lil Jen submitted a video that was about 6 minutes long or so, and in the first 2 or 3 minutes, you could tell she was really concentrating, working to get the groove together. And then this point that we picked was almost like I don't want to I don't want to speak for her, but it seemed like this was the point where it clicked and everything kind of started to come together. So I've seen that comment a lot throughout these weeks where people really struggle and there's an aha moment where where everything comes together, and it's just a great feeling when that happens. So yeah, congrats, Lil Jen. Happy to show your video. So cool. Let's take a few more questions. From Steve G. I'm still stuck on Wednesday because at that tempo, at some point my 2 feet become synchronized. How can I fix that? Also, can I move on to week 4 if I have really not well integrated week 3?
Yeah, definitely you should move. I mean, even if you were not even playing the drums, you should move. Your brain is still working, even though maybe your body is not. So yeah, the more information you have, the more you'll understand where this is going. And sometimes that is very useful in terms of motivation. Sometimes we don't really, that doesn't click with us because we don't really know where this is taking us. So it's a little bit like, okay, I'm practicing this, but why? And sometimes you see the final result and you are like, oh no, will I get there? I need to get this done, So I would highly recommend to keep going, even though you may not be able to play it, because your brain does get it and you are perfectly comprehending what's happening. So yeah, definitely move forward. I heard you were stuck on that tempo. This is a very complicated pattern to teach for one simple reason. And I think, yeah, I don't know if I should say this, but it is very hard to play it slow. I struggled a lot to play it slow. Obviously, when you're starting with it, you need to play it slow, but it doesn't really make sense. It's not, I don't know, it doesn't feel right with your heart. These patterns start feeling right when you get to a certain speed. But of course, you got to go through the hard phase, which is the beginning. I would encourage you, maybe it's the worst advice ever, but I would encourage you to speed it up, even though you cannot, Sometimes it just works better. For me, trying to do this, if you do it with a double pedal, you see how hard it actually is to get it down right at a very slow tempo. It's like... And it doesn't make sense. It's super complicated. You're paying a lot of attention to everything that's going on. And suddenly, when you just go with the flow and play it faster, for some reason, it just sits right in your head. So I would encourage you to try out different tempos. I would encourage you to keep going. And if you got any problem, I would say the problem appears between your right hand and both your feet. I don't think it's the left hand. Maybe it is, but I really doubt it. So I would encourage you, if you have a double pedal, for example, the exercise that I've just done works amazing, not only for the doubles, but also for the linear coordination between your right hand and both of your feet. So I would just go with right, kick, kick, right, kick, kick, right, kick, kick. And you can spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes every day, and you will get faster. Yes. I would really recommend you to do that. I think that could be the problem.
Yeah, definitely. I love the advice about experimenting with different tempos, right? And not being afraid to keep going faster. I'll just say one other thing. With these 30-day courses, we here at Drumeo, we feel like we want you to learn the vocabulary. We want you to learn the techniques, but we also want you to take part in this community experience of going through this course in 30 days. So we would much rather you continue into week 4, maybe at a slower tempo, and still get the kind of community experience where everybody's encouraging each other. You could get creative with it. If you're having trouble with that pattern, you could leave out some notes. You could play an easier pattern for next week, for week 4, and then you always have lifetime access. So then you can come back over the next 6 months and work at your own pace and learn these patterns. But I would say anybody listening should not be afraid to slow things down, to simplify things if needed. Because this communal cohort 30-day experience is something we really want everybody to take part in. So absolutely.
Okay. Definitely. And the thing about these kind of patterns is that there is a quote that says, "Prepare for the unexpected and allow yourself to be surprised." And the thing is that sometimes these patterns click. So you spend 1 week, it doesn't work. The second week, it doesn't work. And suddenly from one day to the next, everything works and you're able to play everything. So sometimes we feel down like, oh, I cannot get it. Do you think I need to keep going? Definitely, but because maybe on Monday, the first minute you sit on the kid is going to be like, click, oh, fuck, I got this. Like, I know how to do this. What happened? Maybe nothing. Maybe it was just a matter of resting, you know? But those patterns, like you said with the student, they click. And from even recording yourself at a practice 6 minutes and it doesn't work, and suddenly, boom, there you go. It works. And it's like, oh, I thought it was going to take a month. Well, it took 6 minutes, you know? So sometimes it happens in your brain. So allow yourself to be surprised.
Absolutely. Okay, a couple more questions, and we're going to look at a clip from a drummer that Estepario submitted. So this is from DWN Homestyles. Good morning, Estepario. I've been working on my legs for speed and control for a while now. I've been serious about it for well over a year. After 2 or 3 hours, my legs start to give out, and to continue playing does more harm than good. My hips start hurting really bad. My question is, did you ever hit a physical barrier like that? And how long did it take you to learn to play fast, consistent double bass? Thank you so much.
Ooh, that is tricky. Yeah, the body doesn't lie. If you're feeling pain, you're feeling pain. There is like this philosophy going around of no pain, no gain. That's, in my opinion, bullshit. So be careful with that, because pain means there's something going on, and you should really pay attention to the signals that your body is giving you. If you're feeling pain after 3 hours, maybe it means that you shouldn't be playing for 3 hours. And maybe when you don't reach that point of pain, maybe it starts to heal, and suddenly the next month you can play for 6 hours and you don't feel any pain. So be very careful with that. And actually, if you can consult a specialist, I am no specialist, but I'm pretty sure somebody has answers for the questions you got right now about that specific pain. For me, in terms of double bass, it's always a matter of controlling the pedal. It's very different with what's happening with your hands, because with the hands you got the stick, but the pedal is a very complicated machine. It has the springs and it has its own momentum, so it's more a matter of controlling the pedal. And in order to do that, you don't really need to spend 3 hours behind the kit just hustling and grinding and suffering, you know. It's a matter of consistency. At least that's how it was for me. It's more a matter of consistency, a little bit every day, with a practice that's dedicated on controlling the pedal, not smashing your leg against the pedal. When you see the masters like George Colias, or for example Eloy Casagrande, we are going to watch Eloy Casagrande in a minute, you realize that when you look at the foot cam, it's basically no effort. They are not stomping on the pedal, and it shouldn't hurt, because they are just controlling the rebound of the pedal. And doing that, for me, it was a matter of constant practice, consistency, and specifically what worked for me, and maybe it will work for you, would be the ankle technique. Ankle technique, when it comes down to playing double bass pedal, is a game changer. The fact of pivoting the whole action on the ankle and not on the whole leg, it is a game changer, because often the smaller the muscle group, not often, all the time, the smaller the muscle group that you're using, the faster you will be. If you are able to master the ankle motion in order to bounce the pedal like a ball, like you would do with your hands on a ball, without applying resistance, just enjoying the movement that the pedal is giving you, you will be able to play very fast. The leg is barely not moving. My heel is on the ground right now, but even though my heel is on the ground, I can use the ankle, I can use the momentum of the pedal, the springs and everything, and I can hit it very fast. And that's the thing, you need to be able to control that. It's just a matter of control, but it's never a matter of practicing for 3 hours until it hurts. That's going to do more harm than good, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like if you were to go to any private teacher or any specialist in the medical world, they would say the same thing, right? There's no benefit to muscling through the pain, right? It's just going to make it worse, right? Yeah,
totally. No, people should be careful with that.
Yeah, cool. Okay, let's take a break here. Let's look at a clip. So this clip, as Estepario mentioned, is from Eloy Casagrande. It's a drummer that he said inspired him as he was learning. Let's take a clip, or let's take a look. All right. Jeez. Estepario, I'll let you speak first. So what is it about Eloy that you love so much?
We were talking, for example, last week we were talking about Eric Moore, and I like the approach on drumming from Eloy Casagrande. It reminds me of the same approach that Eric Moore had. It's a little bit more powerful, a little bit slower than Eric, not because of skill, but because of choice, which is also important. And the fact is that Eloy is able to replicate all of those patterns that are often played with a lot of delicacy, very soft, the paradiddles, all the rudiments. He's capable of incorporating them in order to solo, like we just watched, with such a high dynamics. That's amazing. And if you look at the clip again, you can see how exactly what we were talking about, the Mueller technique in order to play doubles and all of that, he is incorporating all of those all of those motions while soloing on the kit. You can see his arm going up and then going down in order to play the ghost note. It's like he's a master of the Mueller technique and the rudiments. When you see a metal drummer, you don't expect him to throw that many technical things, and he's playing constantly a lot of different rudiments, flams, hertas, paradiddles, 6-stroke rolls, and he's throwing them around the kit with such a high intensity that they can be applied into metal. And that's often something that you don't see. Metal drummers are always, singles fast, and that's it. And this guy changed the game, and he's incorporating these complex but beautiful patterns into his drumming, and it really works. You can just see it. It really works. And on top of that, the double bass game is on another level. So that's the master blend that makes Eloy such a perfect player for me.
Absolutely. And I'll just add to that, we had Eloy out maybe 6 or 7 months ago, and he's just one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, and genuinely loves playing the drums. Like it's always nice when we have an artist come through and like we would get done with lunch and he wants to go down and practice for 20 minutes before we start filming again. Like he's a lifelong learner and just an inspiration to be around. So so always love seeing Eloy, and I assume he's a name you're going to see a lot of in the coming years, now that it's public that he's the new drummer of Slipknot. So congrats, Eloy.
Totally, man. So good.
Okay, let's take a couple more questions. This is from Clockwork Igor. Do you memorize song structures by heart? How fast do you manage to do that? When you learn drum parts, do you first learn them by heart and by playing the rest of the song, or by reading the sheet music, or do you just memorize the rhythm straight away? So how do you memorize parts? Do you read sheet music? Do you learn by ear?
Okay, yeah. The first thing, I don't read music and I don't write music. I don't have that knowledge. I wish I did, and it's very useful, and I'm super jealous of people that can, but I never did. So I cannot read the things or write down the things. So what I do, it would consist on 2 parts. The first one would be to listen to the song a lot. Okay, that's a must. So if I wanted to learn a song that I've never heard before, what I would do would be to listen to that song for as much as I can. Not while drumming, just while living, while cooking, while doing whatever. Maybe I'm going to walk just to listen to that song on repeat again and again and again. And once you got that idea of the song, that's when you can get down to the practice. At least that's how it works for me. But I need to at least be a little bit familiar with the song before I start learning it. If I start right away, I don't enjoy the process and it turns into something very complicated. So that's the first advice. And then the second thing that I do constantly when I'm not even, no, I don't even need to struggle with it. It's just something that I do. I use Audacity. I use a DAW in order to cut down the song in different sections. And I loop those sections like for hours, for real. Let's say there is an intro and it's a 20-second intro. Okay, I'm going to put that intro on repeat so that whenever it ends, it starts again. And I'm going to loop it for 2 hours. And I just hit play and I start playing. Also, something else that I do is I don't listen to my drums when I am practicing a song. If I want to get the song down exactly the way it's played on the record, I don't listen to my drums. I turn my volume down and I'm only listening to the song while trying to do the perfect playback on it on a loop for hours. And once I get that part, I move to the next part, but I isolate the parts. I never go like, okay, let's go from the beginning to the end. No, that's the final stage. So I would say the first step, listen to the song, be familiar with it, give it some time, a week maybe, and then you go there. Then you loop the different sections, you play the different sections again and again, and then the final step would actually be to try to play the whole thing together and let's see how it works.
Yeah, great advice. Great question, Igor. Okay, another one from Christine D. She says, I find that my shoulders tend to tense up when I'm trying to play faster. Do you have any tips for not tensing up?
Not tensing up the shoulders. Oh, that's a complicated question. Do you have, can we talk with him? It depends. It often depends on the setting. I've experienced shoulder pain, but it's always a matter of the setup, of how the kit has been set up, So sometimes narrowing the kit, placing the cymbals a little bit together, or just rotating the arm is going to make the pain go away. I would recommend to be familiar with how shoulders work. Maybe a little bit of weightlifting will do the trick. The muscle that you are going to involve is going to change just by doing this or this. So the placement of the set, the placement of the drums as well as the placement of your arm is going to instantly make pain go away or appear. And I would also add that if you are experiencing some pain on the shoulders, maybe you should try to warm up or learn some stretches just so that you can target the specific muscle, because it's not like a shoulder. It's a specific muscle that's going to be a problem. So I would try to target that specific muscle with a certain kind of warm up or stretching routine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great advice. I'll just remind everyone too, if you want to, you have a Musora mentor, you can email support@drumeo.com or support@musora.com. If you want to send them a picture or a video of you playing, they can give you personalized advice about your setup, about everything Estepario just said, setup, stroke, everything, and they can really help. So don't forget you have that resource available to you. Cool, let's do a couple more. We'll take a look at another student video. This one is from Christine Andriopoulos. Is there an ideal distance between a cymbal and a tom for the sweep? My ride is so far from my floor tom, I find it hard to keep up at a quicker speed.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Of course, it's going to depend on the drummer and how long your arms are and everything, all of that. But for me, you can see that my ride is basically on top of the floor tom. Like my drumstick can be placed, between the ride and the floor tom like this. There is like a whole hand where the ride is on top of the floor tom. So for me, that's the perfect length in order to be able to do fast sweeps without compromising, the rest of the things. I would recommend that. Again, it's a motion that you will get familiar with so that you will be able to play sweeps more efficiently and with different distances. For example, between the snare drum and the floor tom. You will be able to do things like that once you are familiar with the sweep technique. But for me, it's right on top of it if I want to play very, very fast stuff. I would do it like this, yeah.
Yeah, great advice, Cool. Let's take one more. This is from Just Keep Drumming. I like this question. If I send you my address, can you be here by noon? I need lots of help. On a serious note, I would like to order a T-shirt from your website, but you're out of stock. Do you have any idea when you'll have stock back in?
That depends on Drumeo. Maybe you don't know, but yeah. we're going to launch a special merchandising together, I think so, very, very soon. It's on the plans. It's very, very soon.
Awesome. Okay, let's take a break here. Let's look at one more student clip. So this one is from username Oscar David Contreras, and we picked this one. Well, I won't give it away. Let's take a look at the clip first, and then I'll let you know why.
Wait. Can I say something before we start? I forgot to plug on the battery on my computer. Can you give me 1 minute so that I just it's running out of battery, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss the clip. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, absolutely. Evan, you can cut to me. I'll vamp here for a bit. So just a reminder, you can submit student videos to be watched, to be selected and reviewed by Estepario for these streams. Just check your emails. Those links are always in the email communications for the course. So next week, I'll give you a teaser for next week, week 4. What we're going to do, for those of you who've played through 30-Day Drummer, we're going to do something very similar where we take the 3 grooves that we learned in week 1, 2, and 3 and combine them into a full song. So we're going to take, so I can give you a little bit of advice before next week starts. I would brush up on the floor tom, the week 1 groove, floor tom with the right hand, hi-hat with the left hand. Brush up on the week 2 groove, ride, cymbal, left foot, hi-hat. And then you've spent all week working on the bridge groove. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine those into a full song. So it'll go pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 1, pattern 2, then pattern 3. So if you want to do a little bit extra practice this weekend, that'll prepare you for next week. And for those of you who are worried about next week, you already know everything you need to know. We're just putting the pieces together. So Estepario, I think we're good.
Yeah. Let's go.
All right, awesome. All right, Evan, let's take a look at the clip, please. All right, Estepario, what do you think?
Beautiful. I loved everything about it. It's very, very good. You were moving it around the toms. You were using the double pedal. That pattern is very nice to practice, double pedal and doubles on the floor tom, but it could be any of the rack toms that you have. I would say it is perfect. The kid is beautiful. Everything. I would love to sit on that kid and just play it, man. It was very good. It was tight. You looked relaxed. Everything was very good. I don't know if it can get better than that, man. Congratulations, for real.
Yeah. Congrats, Oscar, man. Great job. We picked that clip because we always want to showcase students who are exploring and doing exactly what Estepario recommends and kind of moving their hands around. So, yeah, just like Estepario said, I love what Oscar did there. So, congrats.
Amazing, man. For real.
All right, let's take a few more questions, and we are almost out of time. This is from Mike Cotton Drums. I've been following your channel for a long time, and back in the day, used to pretty much only use single pedal. In the last couple years, you brought out the double pedal and have gotten amazing at it very quickly. Could you walk us through your foot technique?
Yeah, not very quickly. Yeah, no, people think it's very quickly. I suffered a lot. I struggled a lot. I got a couple of injuries in the way. The thing is that I got offered a job playing double bass, and I thought like, it shouldn't be that hard. So I just took it thinking that I could learn. And later I was forced to learn because, there were deadlines and I had to play certain things live. And that really gave me, I would say, motivation, but it was more like anxiety than motivation. So I really practiced a lot. What I did was actually so good because we have already gone through this with Drumeo. The same exercises that we were applying on the single pedal with our right foot that are recorded, and I don't know, but if I am not mistaken, correct me if I am mistaken, but all of them have access to the exercises, right? If they are inside Drumeo, if they didn't buy the course, but they are inside of Drumeo, they got access to the sheets and everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, even non-Drumeo members, anybody who signed up for the class gets access to everything. So.
Then if you haven't do that, I mean, those exercises, all of the exercises that I was explaining on my right foot, those are the same exercises that you need to apply to the left one. It's just a foot, and it's just a pedal. So I would highly recommend that approach. It's more a matter, in order to get speed, it's, as I said, a matter of ankle technique. until 170, maybe you're using the legs, the whole leg, because it's easier. But later, man, you will need to use the ankle technique. And for me, in order to improve the ankle technique, I have been using the same exercises over and over and over again with the left foot. So I would highly recommend you to go through that course because it is 10 exercises long. It is very simple, very clear. You got the PDFs and the exercises written down and everything. And that's the exact same approach that I was using on the other foot. So that's the best way I can answer this question. I don't have the exercises with me, but they are right here and you can, go through all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great question. Okay, from Kit on the Kit. Can you show us the paradiddle challenges slowed down? I'm trying to apply to the kit, but it's difficult without notation while also learning so many new things. So the paradiddle pattern, switching between the stack and the ride with your right hand.
Okay, I can try, I guess. Let me add a good sound to this. A ver. Okay. That's a crash. Let me place a different sound so that you can appreciate what's changing, hopefully. Now we have, okay. Okay, now we got different sounds. So as I was explaining before, the idea would be to replicate that structure, which is 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. So eventually with all the different stickings, it should sound like a paradiddle between the stacks that you're using. The result should be something like this. And of course, on top of that, you should throw the ostinato. So I would recommend to start with, I'm going to use a double pedal if you don't mind, because it's going to be way more clear. So with the sound and everything. So the first stage would be, of course, to get the ostinato going. Let me take the mic. That would be the ostinato that's going to keep happening, and that would be the paradiddle. Ride, splash, ride, splash, ride, splash, splash. And on top of that, you would have to throw the snare, if I am not mistaken. So first you get down the ostinato, then you add the snare, and then you can play with paradiddles or whatever. I think it was something like this. I think that was the challenge, if I'm not mistaken, but please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. So yeah, and you explained it great. Yeah, so those are just to remind everybody, those challenges are for anybody who feels comfortable with the ostinato and is looking for other ways to explore. In these 30-day courses, we always want to give options to as many difficulty levels as possible. So the ostinato for beginners, but also other challenging options for more intermediate to advanced players. Yeah. Thank you, Estepario.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Cool. Let's take a couple more, and we'll be out of time here. This one is from Tyra Kamermond. Apologies, I'm probably saying that wrong. What is your favorite exercise to practice to maintain proper technique?
Wow, proper technique. I like to solo with rudiments. That's something that I do all the time. I like to practice at least the basic rudiments, paradiddles, inverted paradiddles, and I like to chop with them. I think actually we did this on the fastest way to get faster as well. Mm-hmm. But I would really recommend to go through rudiments all around the kit, taking out the hands to the crashes with a bass drum on the singles. So for example, with a regular paradiddle or an inverted paradiddle, it could sound like this. I like to do that for long periods of time, just playing rudiments and taking the right hand or maybe the left hand, just the singles out and playing the ghost notes on the snare. I like to do that. That helps me to maintain at least hand technique. Feet technique, it's always boring. It's always like single strokes for long periods of time. But with the hands, that really helps because you practice how to move around the kit, you practice accents, you practice singles, and you practice doubles as well. So it's like an all-in-one exercise.
Yeah, great advice. And the exercises Estepario is referring to are in his course, Fastest Way to Get Faster. You can search for it if you're a Drumeo member. If you're not a Drumeo member, you get all of these resources included if you do sign up. So we encourage you to sign up if you're enjoying what you're doing this month. Cool. Let's take a couple more. From Gaza24. Do you have any tips for the sweeping motion from ride to floor tom to avoid getting discomfort in the elbow? So maybe anything you haven't already mentioned. You talked about setup, talked about stretching. Anything else?
A sweep is going to be comfortable. At least that's what I think. As long as it's vertically. If you notice how you often use the elbow goes down. If you do it like this, it's going to be super uncomfortable and the work is going to happen on the shoulder, and that's not something that happens naturally. Sweeping like this is going to be super uncomfortable. Try to place the elbow closer to your torso and try to place the setup in a way that it makes sense for the arm to go down. For example, with this crash right here and the floor tom, right here the motion is perfect. I can go. And there is very, very little work happening on the shoulder. So that's something that I would encourage people to do in order to get more fluent with this kind of sweeping motion. Try to pay attention to the way your body works and apply technique in order to make it work. But yeah, that I would say is the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. From Max Tempo, this is a good one. Since drumming is your day job, what do you do to chill and relax?
Oh, man. I don't have that much time. Yeah, I'm trying to push too many things. No, I don't really have time to relax. I just try to see my friends and my family as much as I can. And that's for me a plan already. It's not like I go hiking or this and that. I don't have any activity like that. I just try to hang around with the people that I love and that I don't see often because of the job that I chose.
Yeah, great question. Cool. We'll take a few more here. We still got time. From Deborah, how can I get up to your speed? I have such a hard time with this.
I would say with rudiments, when you see patterns that are happening very fast, it's often not a matter of, for example, super fast singles. Maybe sometimes it is, but not always. When you see super fast patterns, if you break them down, it's nothing special. Nothing special is happening if you pay attention. For example, that happens a lot with 6-stroke rolls, for example, are something that you can get very fast at, and it's very impressive. But when you break it down, it's just a six-stroke roll. Even without warming up, you can just... But when you break it down, actually, the only thing that's happening is... And again, and again, and again, you know, so it's just a matter of mixing rudiments, I would say. We drummers, I try to emulate people like Eloy or like Eric Moore, but what we like to do is to play rudiments all the time, adding some elements that create some sense of confusion on the audience, so people don't really understand what's going on. But when you break things down, it's often just a matter of rudiments and something else. You add 3 notes to a rudiment and you get the perfect chop, and that happens all the time. When you're chopping, you are watching people do unbelievable things on the kit and they are just... And you break everything down and it's a paradiddle and a 6-stroke roll and nothing else is happening. So if you want to get fast, I would say it's better to be fast at thinking. And in order to be fast at thinking, the best way of doing it is not to think at all. Pick rudiments and go with rudiments all the way. And when you're able to play them fast, add a little makeup and that's it.
Mm-hmm. So stay tuned for week 4. We're going to learn exactly what Estepario just played. No, just kidding. Yeah, great advice about rudiments. Cool. From Dolphin Girl. Sometimes I get the groove going, feel good about being in the pocket, and then I think, oh, hey, I'm doing pretty good, then I totally lose it. Does that ever happen to you? And if so, what do you do about it? Thanks, mucho.
Yes, it happens. It happens all the time. That's a very, very tricky question because I don't think I got the answer, but that happens often. When you start thinking, I think the problem is not that you think you're doing okay. The problem is that you think about what you're doing. When you're doing something very complex and you start to thinking like, how the hell am I doing this? Then you mess the whole thing up. And the trick would be to not think at all. How to do that? That's a very challenging question. That is indeed. It's a matter of, I think English people call it mindfulness or something like that. Just trying to be present in the moment and just keep your mind out of, all the thinking and everything. It's just a matter of trying not to think and try to be present and try to enjoy what you are doing. How to do that? Ah, man, that's a very, very good question. I don't have the answer, but yes, it happens to me all the time.
Yeah, I would be willing to bet it happens to pretty much every drummer, no matter your skill level, right? Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I love this next question. Jesus Zarte. Good morning. When playing a groove with an ostinato, like last week's groove, mentally, what should I be concentrating on? The ostinato or the limb that is not part of the ostinato?
Ooh, that's a good question. I always like to think about the most basic thing that's happening. For example, on this week's ostinato, we were using a bass drum that keeps happening on the one with quarters. That's something that I would like to think about, when I'm playing it, because it's going to be at the same time that the metronome is happening. It's going to help me to be on time. It's also going to help me to avoid flams between the bass drum and the things that are going to be happening on the snare drum. And yeah, I would say that's it. The more complex the ostinato, the more difficult that answer is going to be. But on this specific case where you have 4 notes that happen again and again and again, I would like to think about the bass drum that's going to be guiding me. And also, as I stated in the beginning of the live stream, this comes from playing electronic music. And if you pay attention to electronic music, that's always that bass drum. That's even relaxing when you pay attention to it. 120 BPMs and always like. So in this particular case, I would say the bass drum is going to guide you better than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's always that's the tough part about teaching independence. I think Estepario did a wonderful job at it, but it's do you focus on the ostinato, or do you put all of your mind towards improvising with the limb that's not part of the ostinato? That's always the tricky part, right? Yeah, great question. Okay, so Dr. Ed, 35. This is a great one. What 3 rudimentary patterns do you consider to be your best and most utilized around the kit besides the single stroke roll?
Definitely paradiddle diddles, single stroke rolls, and inverted paradiddles. I don't like to use regular paradiddles. For some reason, they don't sit right with me. And when you're chopping very fast, I prefer inverted paradiddles. And then the 6-stroke roll, because it allows you to play very fast. The accents happen every 4 notes. You got 2 accents and 4 ghost notes, so accents keep happening, and it allows you to add a lot of flavor to whatever you're playing. And of course, the paradiddle diddle, which is basically a 6-stroke roll, but with a different permutation. It's just the same pattern, but different. Yeah, it starts different, but it's basically the same. It happens a lot with rudiments. I would say those 3 are, they are very, very good in order to learn a lot of different things, not only chops, but also once you're able to play them fast, you can even play cool patterns with them, and they are very, very, very good.
Yeah, great question. Okay, final one, and then we'll talk a little bit about next week before we stop. This is from Daniel V. I love this question. I've seen it come up a couple times. 7-month church drummer. How can I learn independence instead of just learning the beats? I get the pattern after I slow it down step by step, but I can't play my own patterns over the ostinato.
Yeah, that's exactly the right question. You need to practice, your own patterns. You're not able to play your own patterns. That's the tricky thing. Either you can improvise with them and you have a good time, or you cannot, so you try to come up with a lot of different exercises that eventually will lead to you being able to play all of them. It's a very good question, and it's a very tricky one. Of course, every case is different, but I would recommend to try, for example, different placings on the snare. Definitely that could be a game changer. Let's say you got the ostinato. I don't know how this is going to come up. I haven't done this. I've never done this, but let's see different placings, for example. Okay, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to displace the snare. I'm going to start on the one, and I'm going to try to displace it slowly to different, to the different parts of the bar that I'm going to be playing. I don't know what's going to happen, but that could be a good exercise. Just studying all the different possibilities between you before you start trying to play all the different possibilities without having practiced them separately. Okay. So that would be, sorry, I've never done this. I don't know. That could be a good exercise. The first snare is going to fall on the right foot. The second snare is going to fall on the left foot. The third snare is going to fall on the first right hand, and the fourth snare is going to fall on the floor tom. That would be how to place. That would be how to use the snare on all the possible positions on this bar. That could be a cool exercise. You start playing the snare on the first. You then move it to the second, then you move it to the third, then you move it to the fourth. If you're able to play all the different parts, maybe you will be able to improvise moving the snare along. I would suggest something like that. I would try to explore all the different possibilities separately on an exercise like the one that I just did, in order to be able to improvise and actually place it on all the different spaces that the bar offers to you.
Yeah, and I mean, great question, great answer. I love what Estepario just did. He came up with a variation on the spot, right? And that's what the purpose of this course is, right? I've seen a few comments saying this course is about independence, but we're learning 3 patterns, right? We're learning a song, and you know, we could have put together a course where every day we give you 5 variations. So at the end of 30 days, you have 300 variations that you can then go off and learn. But the point of these 30-day courses really is to give you something that within 30 days you can feasibly learn, and then think of these 3 grooves as like 3 canvases, and you can spend the next 6 months creating your own patterns, right? So, we're trying to do this in a fun way that really gives you a place to then go and start exploring for yourself. I don't know, Estepario, do you agree, or am I just kind of talking nonsense?
I totally agree. No, I totally agree. It's just a tool. The pattern itself that we are learning, it's a little bit simple in terms of the snare is going to fall the same as if we were playing any groove. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to keep falling in there. But yeah, definitely the goal would be to explore all the different possibilities. The thing that I just tried maybe should have been on the course, because actually it is a very good question. It is a valid question. Yeah, but definitely I would go with something like that. I've never tried anything like that, but what I would recommend would be to come up with different patterns and play it, for example, 4 times before changing to the next pattern, and then play it 4 times. You can just improvise and try to keep playing the same phrases for a little amount of time before you move on to the next phrasing. I don't know if that makes sense. Constantly improvise with this pattern is going to be complicated, but maybe if you repeat a certain amount of bars, whatever phrasing comes to your mind, maybe it can be a little bit easier. I don't know, something like... I would come like that on the spot with different patterns, and I would repeat them for 4 times, and then, okay, let's create something else. 4 times, let's create something else, and keep the ostinato going while thinking about different phrasings.
Yeah, definitely. It's such a great answer. So these 3 grooves, what we're learning is 30-day independence, but for you to start adding your own variations and start to get creative, that's 1-year independence, 10-year independence, right? So we're just trying to give you a place to start and get your creativity working, right? So, all right. Man, that flew by. Estepario, before I wrap up, is there any final things you want to say before we take a look at what we're doing next week?
Oh, this pattern is specifically beautiful. I would encourage people to jam along this pattern with electronic music. Definitely, it's like the homework. I don't know if people are going to take my word, but for real, if you can grab some techno, and you don't even need to know any techno music, just type techno on YouTube and whatever comes, or house or psytrance, any electronic music where you see the bass drum is constantly going. Play it on a loop for hours and just try to come up with different patterns. And if you cannot come up with different patterns, listen to the music, and the music is going to give you some details that you can add to your grooves. I would recommend people to have fun with this pattern, actually playing electronic music. Definitely, it is a whole vibe, it is an experience. And if you got an electronic drum kit, you can actually use the sounds, and that could also be very fun.
Yeah, great advice. Man, Estepario, thanks so much for taking the time with us.
Thank you. See you soon, man.
Yeah. All right, so a couple things. Like I said, next week we're taking those 3 grooves and putting them all together in a song. So if you struggled a little bit with this week, I still encourage you. We're going to start next week back with the floor tom verse groove, the week 1 groove we'll call it, and the ride cymbal chorus groove between the ride cymbal and the hi-hat. So check in next week. We're going to wrap all of this up. One thing to be careful, or one thing to be sure of, the final live stream is going to be bumped to Monday, June 3rd. So it's not next Saturday. It's Monday, June 3rd, same time, 8 a.m. So make sure you put that on your calendar. We'll send you an email about it. So let's take a look at a clip here. This will show you a little bit of the final full song. Thanks, everybody, for being here. And we will see you next Monday, June 3rd. So Monday after next. Thanks.
Okay. Let's same here. We have another red hand crash happening. Remember, it happens every 8 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. It's going to happen again, but we need to end the song. Come on.